So my name is Jessie. This is Brittany. I'm from Community Outreach, and so we're hosting a hunger banquet. And so today the whole point is to be more aware about both hunger and how poverty can affect your nutrition, how you interact with food, how you interact with others. And so there's just a couple things that we want to say before we get started. And so we're here today because it's million people suffering from poverty, over 925 million people who suffer from hunger, and a child dies from hunger, incredible disease. So that's two points we got to So we think hunger is about,
okay, cool.
you may think hunger is about too many people and too little food, but that's not the case. Hunger is about power. Its roots lie in inequalities and in access to resources. Other results are illiteracy, poverty, war, and the inability of families to grow and buy food. And hunger affects everyone in countries rich and poor. It happens in Connecticut. I know that Connecticut has a record of being like one of the more better states, but we still face that here. And 80% of the world's hungry people live in rural areas, such as farmers, fishers, birders, and laborers. So yeah, there's global shifts in weather that add to that problem. So many aspects that add into how poverty exists in the world. And while efforts to fight against world hunger have helped to increase the proportion of world population living in hunger, millions of people still don't have access to the food they need, and global food crisis is a record rise in December. So for many, food is not within reach now today, and it's not affordable for a lot of people.
We all here. And I also sound gross because my allergies. I'm sorry. So this is not my real voice. So your presence here today shows that you are concerned. You want to learn more and you want to make a difference. You believe that people have the power, the right, and the understanding to create solutions for their own communities to control their own futures. We are here to educate on hunger and poverty issues, which is what this hunger banquet is all about. This is about the metaphor for how food and other resources are inequitably distributed in the world. As such, a hunger banquet is meant only to focus on these issues. We cannot recreate many complex ways poverty manifests itself. We will not have time to go into all the problems associated with lack of access to healthcare, education, employment opportunities, and realities of the day-to-day struggles for survival. The one thing I would like for you guys to remember is that everyone on Earth has the same basic needs. We all need food, water, the one thing I would like you to remember is that it is only our circumstance that we live that the culture and community are according to relative prosperity and security, while millions through no choice of their own are born into poverty. As each of us walks in the door today, we through walk into the draw left where they're going to be. Note that no one section of this group represents a single country. While the U.S. is one of the wealthiest countries on Earth, almost 44 million Americans do live in poverty. Nearly 20% of children in the U.S., or about 1 every 5 American children, live below the poverty line. So now I would like you to, now we're going to give out your names. So that way, how it works and letting you know whatever names you get, they are based off of real people, so this is what real people are based on. Did anybody burn off the perfect?
Okay, so what's going to happen is that you're going to be given a random sheet of paper, and then you're assigned to either higher class, middle class, or lower class, and then you're going to be sat accordingly and then fed accordingly. And then afterwards, we're going to do a discussion about how they make you feel about what resources we had. Yeah, it's supposed to be reflective of like how. So some may not be happy with what we said.
sitting here and you have lower class, stay in this area. If you're middle class, please go over there by the chairs. If you're higher class, go over there by the tables.
Don't be too sad if you're not at the place that you want to be. Since we are a smaller group, we're going to have tons of leftovers at the end, so don't worry about that. So those at the high income area, you represent 50% of the world's population with a per capita income of $12,000 or more per year. You're fortunate enough to be able to afford a nutritious daily diet. Since many of you exceed your daily requirement of calories, you're likely to face health problems such as heart disease and diabetes. But most of you have access to the best medical care in the world. It's a given that your children will attend school. The only uncertainty is how many years they will study after high school. You and your family live in a comfortable and secure home. You probably own at least one car and 2 televisions. When you take your annual vacation, you don't worry about your jobs disappearing in your absence. You have access to virtually anything you need, and security is right. So you will be having check-in tonight. There's also side vegetables. There's dinner rolls. And you have nice glassware, you have lemonade over there, and and you get salad. And then, so for the middle income area, if you're sitting there, you roughly represent 35% of the world's population, so you earn between $987 and $12,000 a year. The levels of access and security vary very greatly. You live on the edge. For many, it would take losing only one harvest to drought, or serious illness to throw you into poverty. You probably own no land and may work as a day laborer, a job that pays an inadequate amount of money, or your job. But it's better than nothing. Your small income allows for some use of electricity and a few years of schooling for your children, especially if they are boys. Alternatively, you may have left your family to go work in the city. You hope that the money that you earn from your less than minimum wage job as a domestic help or a special worker will eventually allow you to move back home and make a better life for your family. So you'll be having pasta today. I'm pretty sure that's it. And then those in the low income group, if you're sitting on the floor, you represent the majority of the world's population, roughly 50%. The average income is $986 a year, about $2.70 a day, although many of you may earn less than that. Each day is a struggle to meet your family's basic needs. Finding food, water, and shelter can consume your entire day. For many of you women, it would not be uncommon for you to walk 5 to 10 miles every day to get water, spend several more hours working in the fields, and of course taking care of your children. Many of you are frequently hungry. It is quite likely that you don't get the minimum amount of calories your hard-working life requires. And many of you are homeless or living in structures so flimsy that rain and the weather that's going outside like today would be catastrophe. Even though education is the single most important and powerful weapon against poverty, school is a luxury few of your children will have experienced. Most of the girls don't even bother to dream about school, and adequate healthcare is out of the question. And for most of you, early death is too familiar, and with many workers or many mothers expecting to lose 1 or 2 children before they turn 5. If you're looking to work, you're probably a tenant farmer who must give the landowner 75% of your harvest. So you may get occasional work as a day laborer at a plantation, growing banana, sugar, coffee for export, and you reap few benefits from these crops. You prefer to grow your food for your children to eat. So you're going to be having rice and beans, and you'll be sitting on the floor. And we also have water for you, and do not be scared. That's actually just water and iced tea in a bucket, just to look like dirty water, but it is completely safe to drink.
So technically, this is the setup that we plan on having for 100 people. So you can imagine, this is only, I guess, 10 people up in the upper class. This we filled because of how much space is here, and then that many people were within the middle class. So it really just puts into perspective about how the board actually works. So now I have some news that will affect several of you. As you said, no one can choose the circumstances into which they are born. Some people have the good fortune to change their lives for the better, but for most, the circumstances of life are determined by factors outside of their control. So I would like 2 people from the middle class to stand up. And 1. Okay. So you 2 are farmers from the small village of Eastern Senegal. You earn a good income from the 29 acres of land where you grew ground nuts and other crops. Your family had worked this land for generations thanks to the land tenure granted by your local chief. Last year, though, the government gave this land to a Canadian company intending to build a gold mine. Because you, like many rural Africans, did not have a land title, you received no compensation. And then as another person, you were able to keep your smaller farm nearby, but you suffered a serious setback to your income when one of your cows and 2 cows died. After drinking water polluted by the chemicals used at the mine, with your future uncertain, I invite both of you to take the place in a low-income group. Now I would like to invite 6 people to stand up to the lower class. It's like half of you. Well, you can do 4 or whatever, it's fine. So all of you are students by trade, so when you heard about the government's new education plan by calling for thousands of school uniforms, you decided to transform your savings group into a sewing workshop. You successfully won a bid to make uniforms for 8 schools in your district. Members rotate differently, sewing tasks, and on average, each of you earn between $200 and $250 a month. This new income means that you now have the resources to pay for your son to go to college. And your spouse is a seasonal farm worker, and he hadn't been thinking about immigrating to find more work. Thanks for this new opportunity, your family can stay together. I invite all of you who stood up to go to the middle class, but before you go, I would like to have 2 of you, since your friend's house, so you put in corn and beans are unusual, which is beans as usual this year, carefully tending your field high on the slopes of Guatemala. But when the rainy season came and when very little rain fell, you started to worry. You did everything you could short of making it rain, even fertilizing your field twice, but the harvest still failed. Most years you can grow about 2,200 pounds of corn. This year you got about 8 times of that. Because your harvest is so much smaller this year, and because you spent so much money trying to fertilize your field, some of your costs won't be enough to provide for your family. In order to earn money to buy the food you need to survive, your family will have to migrate temporarily to work as a picker on a coffee plantation. As you prepare to leave your home, the 2 of you can now take your place in a low income. So yeah, you still stay. Okay. So can I have 2 women in the high income to stand? Yeah. So you are an employee at a U.S. marketing firm who recently gave birth to your first child. After graduating from college and paying off your student loans, you and your spouse work extra hours so that you can put money aside for the future. Thanks to your savings and generous health care benefits, you were able to cut your working hours to part-time to care for your daughter. Recently, you started making her baby food yourself out of organic ingredients rather than buying processed baby food at the store. Talk a little more that way you know exactly what's in their food. You make sure it's healthy and nutritious. But please remain standing while I introduce you to another mom who might not ordinarily get a chance to eat. So, someone's going to ask you guys. For your families, you are a widow mother of a 10-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter. You usually earn money for your family during Central Cambodia's rice planting season. For each day spent in the rice paddies, you earn 3,000 reals or about 73 cents. 2 years ago, 1 day's wages brought 2 kilograms of rice, enough to feed you and your kids for 1 day, while a little extra money left over. Today, though, the same amount now buys only 1 kilogram of rice, or just half of your family's daily food supply. If prices prices remain high, you'll have to pull your daughter out of school so she can work. For now, you sometimes find yourself making do with less on your plate just so that your kids can get enough to eat. So you guys only get to receive only half your posted first today. These are just a few snapshots of life as it plays out each day around the world. Now we invite you to eat. Those of you in the high income class, you'll be served food. I screwed up a little bit for this, but the middle class, the pasta should be over there, and then the lower class, there's the water. There's gonna be very soon. They're just setting it up.
Wait, did they not have a label?
Well, I guess I mean, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not the main one. But the case where Alex said she was going, and then we put this like little Uzi all over again. It's just not going to show up. Same again? No, Claire. And you'll be self-serving whatever. You also have the water, the murky water over there is for the class. That's the water and don't worry. Yeah, Tim died.
That sounds good.
Like they have so much like local farmers donating their produce. So it's not like that. Yeah, we could have done like a cold lower. Biggest French Revolution. Do it, come on. I know. I would say it's a cool spot, right? We'll see. Check this stuff. You want a serving salad at your You can donate your salad to
No, you can if you want. If you want. Your rice is ready. Your rice is ready. You guys want your rice and tea?
We don't have butter either, so funny.
They did donate some. They donated for it, but not you.
I can't say it, you know what I mean. Disparate, yeah. Of food and resources. So the PowerPoint is Hunger in America. Facts about hunger in America. 1 in 6 people in America face hunger. 49 million Americans struggle to put food on their tables. And in the U.S., hunger is caused by the prevalence of poverty, so it's not lack of resources. More than 1 in 5 children is at risk of hunger among African. More than 1 in 5 children is at risk of hunger among African Americans and Latinos. It's 1 in 3. Over 20 million children receive free or reduced price lunch each school day. Less than half of them get breakfast, and only 10% have access to summer meal sites. So that's really important because as the school year ends, we're not going to get as much resource as the feds. Some people like to think that people need more food during the holidays like Thanksgiving and stuff, but in reality it's in the summer because they're not going to be going to school to get fed that the government's paying. And then 1 in 7 people are enrolled in SNAP. Nearly half of them are children, and 40% of food is thrown out in the U.S. every year, or about 165 billion worth. All this is uneaten food could feed 25 million Americans. And then how does America address hunger? So they have SNAP and food stamps. In 2015, SNAP had helped 45 million low-income Americans to afford a nutritionally adequate diet. The average SNAP recipient received about $127 a month, or about, which is about $4.23 a day. In the fiscal year 2015, the SNAP benefit formula targets benefits according to need. Very poor households receive larger benefits than households closer to the poverty line, so they would need more help according to the adequate diet. Unlike most needs tested benefit programs, which are restricted to particular categories of low-income individuals, SNAP is broadly available to almost all households who have low income. No more than 30% of the poverty line and minimal assets. So, numbers. So this is the U.S. food stamp population compared to other countries who are using the food stamp. As you can see, the higher countries, followed by Sudan, and the lower country who is using food stamps is North Korea. And then percentage of U.S. population receiving food stamps. As you can see, all the way to the left, I don't really can't see, I can barely see, is that has increased over the years and it's slowly declining. Current issues with this program, probably why food stamps are probably declining around 2016, is because the immigrants are passing up food stamps for fear of deportation. Advocates say fewer immigrants are applying to the welfare program. Immigrants fear trapping enforcement authorities or hurting their chances of citizenship. Everything going on right now, and SNAP eligibility requirements are strict. Undocumented immigrants can't receive food stamps. The majority of SNAP is given to whites. And then food stamp rules by race. So as you can see, 39.3% is received by whites, and then 25.8% by blacks, and then Hispanics 11.4%. Native Americans 1.1%, Asians 2.5%, and then unknown 22.5%. So you can totally see that equalness. This is really hitting home. Hunger in Connecticut, where we live. 1 in 7 people struggle with hunger. 13.9% of Connecticut residents are food insecure, and about 6.0% are very food insecure. Connecticut is the 49th state in the nation for the number of schools with a school breakfast program, with 81.8% of schools participating. Only 51 students participate in free reduced price breakfast for every 100 lunch. We're doing pretty good, but we can still work on it. Yeah, time for this video. Want to play the video? Yeah, we're good. So it's like a TED Talk. We're going to just watch the 6 minutes of it, but over there, I think that was helpful.
And I found myself in the places where well, after many years working in trade and economics, 4 years ago, I found myself working on the front lines of human vulnerability. And I found myself in the places where people are fighting every day to survive and can't even obtain a meal. This red cup comes from Rwanda, from a child named Fabian. And I carry this around as a symbol, really, of the challenge and also the hope. Because one cup of food a day changes Fabian's life completely. But what I'd like to talk about today is the fact that this morning, about 1 billion people on Earth, or 1 out of every 7, woke up and didn't even know how to fill this cup. 1 out of every 7. First, I'll ask you, why should you care, or why should we care? For most people, if they think about hunger, they don't have to go far back in their own family history, maybe in their own lives, or their parents' lives, or their grandparents' lives, to remember an experience of hunger. I rarely find an audience where people can go back very far without that experience. Some are driven by compassion, feel that it's perhaps one of the fundamental acts of humanity, as Gandhi said, to a hungry man, a piece of bread is the face of God. Others worry about peace and security, stability of life. We saw the food riots in 2008 after what I call the silent tsunami of hunger swept the globe when food prices doubled overnight. The destabilizing effects of hunger are known throughout human history. One of the most fundamental acts of civilization is to ensure people can get enough food. Others think about Malthusian nightmares. Will we be able to feed a population that will be 9 billion in just a few decades? This is not a negotiable thing, hunger. People have to eat. There's going to be a lot of people. This is jobs and opportunity all the way up and down the value chain. But I actually came to this issue in a different way. This is a picture of me and my 3 children. In 1987, I was a new mother, my first child, and was holding her and feeding her when an image very similar to this came on the television. And this was yet another famine in Ethiopia. One 2 years earlier had killed more than 1 million people. But it never struck me as it did that moment, because on that image was a woman trying to nurse her baby, and she had no milk to nurse. And the baby's pride really penetrated me as a mother. And I thought, there's nothing more haunting than the cry of a child that cannot be returned with food, the most fundamental expectation of every human being. And it was at that moment that I just was filled with the challenge and the outrage that actually we know how to fix this problem. This isn't one of those rare diseases that we don't have a solution for. We know how to fix hunger. 100 years ago, we didn't. We actually have the technologies and systems. And I was just struck that this is out of place at our time in history. These images are out of place. Well, guess what? This was last week in northern Kenya. Yet again, the face of starvation at large scale with more than 9 million people wondering if they can make it to the next day. In fact, what we know now is that every 10 seconds we lose a child to hunger. This is more than HIV/AIDS, malaria, tuberculosis combined. And we know that the issue is not just production of food. And one of my mentors in life is Norman Borlaug, my hero. But today I'm going to talk about access to food, because actually, this year and last year, and during the 2008 food crisis, there was enough food on Earth for everyone to have 2,700 kilocalories. So why is it that we have 1 billion people who can't find food? And I also want to talk about what I call our new burden of knowledge. In 2008, Lancet compiled all the research and put forward the compelling evidence that if a child in its first 1,000 days from conception to 2 years old does not have adequate nutrition, the damage is irreversible. Their brains and bodies will be stunted. And here you see a brain scan of 2 children, one who had adequate nutrition, another neglected, and who was deeply malnourished. And we can see brain volumes up to 40% less in these children. And in this slide, you see the neurons and the synapses in the brain don't form. And what we know now is this has huge impact on economies, which I'll talk about later, but also the earning potential of these children is cut in half in their lifetime due to the stunting that happens in early years. So this burden of knowledge drives me because actually we know how to fix it very simply. And yet, in many places, a third of the children, by the time they're 3, already are facing a life of hardship due to this.
Thank you guys for all coming out, even though you guys did come late. Thank you for showing interest about learning about this, because it's a really impactful topic. We would just like to ask you if you could stay, do a reflection with us while we ask you guys questions, see how you thought about this whole program, the video, and everything.
Yeah, everyone's done eating. We can all sit in a circle and just have a little discussion about it. Don't worry, we still a lot of them over food, so we can always bring that back to the group. But I think it's just nice to go over some of the issues that we're going to talk about today.
That shouldn't be an issue. We have an approved for everyone. We just look at how we want to use these better. Any other thoughts? So, what this meal represents is in the real world, and we would like to ask, what can be done to change things for the better?
Something that I thought was interesting from the middle class is that you guys all obviously had a lot of and had a liquid salad. But yeah, obviously that's very important. That's how issues get help with other people, help other people. Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
And then scary is like,
Thank you.
going off of that, like, we brought people right over, we like had to ask first, and we didn't want to like mess up like the simulation. Yeah. But then also I realized too when I'm oxygenated and I was supposed to with myself, like I was being really cautious about how much I throw on my plate. Like it's just like I don't know, it just felt
We did that on purpose just because the emphasize that you are in a class and things are still limited, but you still get a better like option than like lower class. And sorry. Yeah, no. It's definitely helpful to help out whoever you knows. I'm sure the lower class will very appreciate it. Has anyone like witnessed poverty in the US or anywhere else in the mission there?
When I went abroad, I got to go to Bali for a couple weeks. And even though we kind of stayed in the more central areas with, like the resorts and like all the touristy areas, when we drove out to go do excursions and things that we were obviously lucky enough to do, we drove through some really, really poor areas, like houses that didn't look like they could stand up and people that, just looked exhausted and tired. It was really, really sad to see all that I just never really thought of because I'd only been in that kind of touristy area until you left and you really saw it. That's kind of when you actually realize how bad it is.
I had a teacher in high school. Me and her got really close, and she was telling me how these students in her class were underneath the poverty line, and every day she was a middle class person as well. And every few days she would give the students about like half a dozen bags just to bring home for them.
Yes,
I actually moved to America because of poverty. My family lived on a farm in Poland, and my parents did like random little jobs to get extra money. So like my grandma lived here. So as soon as like they saved up enough money, and we all of my siblings were old enough to like agree with the decision, we moved to America.
I'm really glad that you brought that up. But also introducing before how it's like a global issue is also an issue in America, depends on where you're from. But something that like it reminded me of today, I know this is a group of students, I don't want to pick on you, but I think it's like a really good idea what they have when they're planning on putting a food bank for students on campus. Because I think a lot of times we kind of get like wrapped up in our own world and like we see all this infrastructure and we're like, oh, everything's great. But we even have students here at UConn who are going through the same issues. And it's really important to sort of spend the time to learn or
Yeah, so,
oh, is that your?
yeah, so it's all three of us.
Okay,
It's,
awesome.
Katie, Sarah, and we've been trying since the beginning of the semester to try to create a future like this. There is no conclusion that it's very difficult. It's not just like getting people together, it's like getting administration. Sorry, I don't want to throw everybody up. But it's hard. It's a big issue trying to make space and trying to figure out, right, who can we talk to, what can we have? There's some food pantries. There's one in the community, and then there's one in one of the churches in Southern California. The issue is these although they're great, students don't necessarily see themselves in the training. So they have, in order for you to go to the mainstream campus, you have to get a caseworker, and students don't really see that they don't interpret their situation in that same way. So I think it's important that we meet them where they are. And there's something powerful to having something run by students and for students to show like their problems out across the our community and want to help. So Sarah created this survey, and then we tried to like drop it out as much as possible to respondents. Yeah, to do something. Yeah.
What you have to do also contact ACC as the Mountaintop Community College. They actually just recently opened up a food bank, and like the organization I was a part of, we actually donated about 1,500 pounds of food to them before they opened. So maybe we could reach out to them, see how they got it started.
When we first started, we was part of the research at universities about how to do this. But I think that's a good point, accountability to places that are here, like very close to us, and like make the
Filling out this, anyone have any ideas on how our personal choices as Americans affect the world's unequal distribution of resources?
I think for me, being in the upper class, I think I could have given more, even though I did give my salad, but it's because I didn't want it at the time. And I like served the food because I was really bad and I wanted to get that experience. So I wanted to be a part of it, but I also wanted to be as far removed from it as possible because I was able to go back to my table, have my juice, have the bread, and I had the games.
Filling out these reports on how we vote for those that we didn't tell you guys that you could do. Like you guys loved it on your own. Like you wanted to go help yourself, you want to help others too. It really shows that when there are good people out there who really have to make things better for the world. It's why you guys all came here today just to learn about the issues and take part of this makeshift simulation. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And you're taking it home. Like, that's a for us.
Please take all the leftovers and way to shredding.
Yeah,
Just
like
share
there's a
with your
lot of
friends.
food.
Yeah.
I think it's an experience you have to all try. When I don't think you could ever get this water.
Does it taste like just water? Is it like diluted enough? That's